Hey folks, nice to see you today. My name's Dustin Cormier. Welcome to another episode of How to Rock Astrology. So nice to see you. Today is going to be the beginning of the end of our Mars in the 12 Signs series. I've been doing this whole playlist talking about Mars and all the 12 signs, and also including Mars in your sign with the 12 sun sign combinations. So this is basically Mars in Pisces, for those who are interested. Welcome. So today I'm going to be reading from two different texts, essentially, plus giving you a spiel of my own, from my own sort of Vedic transcription of this sign combination, of this planet in this sign. I'm a Vedic astrologer. Now, when I say that, I mean that I practice the philosophy of Vedic astrology, but I don't put the signs back like to 24 degrees, as you might have heard from sidereal Vedic astrologers. I'm still a tropical astrologer. Western is my roots, but I do try to condense my lessons so that they can have a sense of the Vedic philosophy for all of the Western people watching. I'm Canadian, so I've got Western in my roots, but I try to add Vedic wisdom when I can. And that's what we're doing today. So I'm going to start off talking a bit about what Vedic wisdom can tell us about having Mars in Pisces. And that's where we'll start. Now, Mars in Pisces, I'm happy to say, for those who are listening, is probably a lot more fun, more creative, more inspired, more noble, and more effective than most Western astrologers are likely to imagine and consider. Most Western astrologers really give Pisces this very dampened, muted quality because it's ruled, or it's said to rule Neptune. It's said to be a confusing, illusory place that has something to do with moksha, with the end of things, with the end of life. As if someone with Mars in Pisces is going to be grounding themselves in some etheric, infinite, abstract, surreal reality with everything that regards their Mars, which is not really the case. It's true that any planet in Pisces is going to be contributing to some 12th house-ish past life karma energy in a way. But as it applies practically in reality, Pisces is one of the 12 signs. It's more of the 12th house, in my opinion, that has the real sticky karma associated with the soul, holding on to all the transmigratory past life energy and funneling it through any 12th house placement. Pisces is just another one of the signs. When you have Mars in a sign, we're talking about the basic functionality of that planet. So, that being said, the 12th house is in the quadrant of the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th, has more to do with how your activity is regarded in the world. Mars in Pisces has an energy which is very sensitive to its application. And a lot of people think this obstructs the Mars in Pisces energy, but I'm here to tell you today, in the Vedic reckoning, it's probably a lot better than you might think it is. Now, I'm going to try and explain this to you so that you don't just take my word for it. First thing, I'm going to say a few astronomical basic realities. I would say that Mars in Pisces is probably... sorry, folks, just give me one moment. I got to fix my fan here. Thing makes too much noise. I would consider Mars in Pisces to be probably the fourth or fifth best placement for Mars by sign. Mars in Capricorn is the ideal because it's exalted in Capricorn. Mars in Scorpio is second best. It really is kind of tied for first and second because it's in its own sign. Mars in Sagittarius is third best because it's still in a fire sign, which relates to Mars, and it's still very close to its exaltation point. And it's also behind the exaltation point. Now, exaltation works by proximity, at least in the Vedic. Well, every astrology tradition would insist this. You might read an astrology book that says Mars is exalted in Capricorn, and then you look and your Mars is in Sagittarius and say, oh darn, it just missed that exaltation. But Sagittarius is right next door to Capricorn. It's in the vicinity of Capricorn, which means it still has that peak. It's still in the vicinity of the peak of its power. Now, Mars in Aries and Mars in Pisces would really be tied for 4th or 5th place for the best placements for Mars. Aries is further away from exaltation, which means it has slightly less power, slightly less energy. But since it's in Aries, it does good because Aries is its own sign. I would say Aries is probably the 4th best place, and then Mars in Pisces is the 5th best. Mars in Pisces has a lot of energy because Pisces is even closer to Capricorn than Aries is. So it's not lacking energy. But like Mars is not lacking energy here, that's for sure. It has the energy. Here it's kind of like, it's not necessarily muted per se, but it is, you could hold your Mars back and be much more meticulous, much more sensitive, and much more strategical where you do put your Mars animal impulse energy. It's because Pisces is actually in the traditional Vedic tradition. Pisces is actually ruled by Jupiter, and this is true in the West as well. Pisces' main rulership is Jupiter, and its secondary rulership is Neptune. So I would contend that Jupiter has much more to do with Pisces as a sign than Neptune does. So with regard to Mars, Mars being in Pisces is in the sign of a friend. And what does that mean, a friend? This is something that Western astrology doesn't know about. And I'm going to explain it to you now. You'll hear me explain it in all of these videos. It's very, very important. Essentially, the planets are kind of split into 2 groups for all astrology traditions. The Vedic is the only one that has an understanding of this, like a direct understanding. We do this, this knowledge is true in Western astrology, you just don't realize it. Now, this is what it is, okay? You're going to see it when you realize what I'm saying. Consider this. Consider that all of the earth and air signs are ruled by which planets? Well, there's actually only 3 planets that rule the earth and the air signs, okay? What are they? Taurus and Libra, earth and air, are ruled by Venus. Gemini and Virgo, air and earth, are ruled by Mercury. And then Capricorn and Aquarius, earth and air, are ruled by Saturn. So Venus, Mercury, and Saturn all rule all of the earth signs. And guess what? By Vedic reckoning, they're friends, generally, for the most part. So, for example, if Venus falls in the sign of Gemini, or, well, not Virgo, because Virgo is the debilitation point, and debilitation just really hurts any planet. It hurts the energy of any planet there. But Venus does very well in Gemini. Venus does well in Taurus and Libra, obviously. And Venus also does well in Capricorn and Aquarius. Same thing with Mercury in any earth and air signs. Same thing with Saturn. Now, what does that leave with the other side? Well, consider that Jupiter rules a fire and a water sign, Sagittarius and Pisces traditionally, right? Mars rules a fire and a water sign, Aries and Scorpio. The sun rules Leo, and then the moon rules Cancer, fire and water, right? So sun, moon, Jupiter, and Mars are all the yang masculine planets that have to do with the spirit within you, the impulse of the spirit within you. Whereas Venus, Mercury, and Saturn are more about responsibility, communication to things outside of yourself, and responsibility to people, relationships, those outside of yourself. Saturn, Venus, and Mercury, they're all wrapped together. Whereas Mars, Sun, Moon, and Jupiter, it's all about what I need in order to get what I need to get in life, right? And Pisces particularly is the emotional, like Jupiter has to do with basically the clear path to what you need to do in order to enjoy life at your spiritual nature, at how you want to apply yourself and what you want to apply yourself to in order to feel like you fit in the world. Now, this is a Mars. Jupiter splits its rulership into Sagittarius and Pisces. Sagittarius is more about the outgoing, what I want to do. Pisces is more like how I want to experience the world based on what I am. So we can imagine that Mars being in Pisces means that what Mars does, which is getting a grip on life, getting a grip on your immediate reality and of those close to you, pushing you around your reality and manipulating it for positive effect. Because we all are in this world, as I always like to say, we're like a spider web. We're like a spider whose spider web is a tiny little glistening part of a thread in a bigger spider web. And, the big world outside of us is this big thing that keeps on spinning. And if we just hide ourselves in a little hole, the world out there is going to keep spinning. But you're going to get in trouble if you don't realize that you are also a spider that needs to take care of your own web. That needs to eat your own flies. It needs to catch your own flies. You need to make your own reality happen. And that's what Jupiter, Mars, and Sun, and Moon are all about. I'm allowed to live by what I need, what my needs are. Now, this goes to say that when you have Sun, Moon, Mars, or Jupiter in a fire or a water sign, then it is going to be well placed because it's jiving to the tune of what that planet naturally wants to do. Now, this is generally true, although Mars doesn't do well in Cancer. It does okay in Leo, but even with Leo, even though Mars is friends with the Sun in Leo, it's close to debilitation, which is Cancer, right? So these are all these things we got to consider. All things considered, Mars being in Pisces is still only a sextile away from exaltation. It's past the exaltation, which isn't as strong, but that's okay. It's still pretty close. It has energy, and that energy is well used here. Mars in Pisces actually finds a lot of satisfaction because how they apply themselves is not going to burn themselves out because they know how to apply themselves in a way that works for you. How do you apply Mars? How do you apply yourself in a way which you know will feel good and save energy by your enjoyment of it down the line? You're probably going to figure that out. You're probably going to learn how to apply yourself in a way which feels good to you. And I know a few Mars and Pisces people. My brother in my band has part Mars and Pisces. And there's lots of things that we want to do as a people in a band, and there's sometimes where I've got this idea, Sean, that Sean is my brother's name, and Sean, we as a band have to do this. This is something that I think we should do. And my brother will always say, okay, right, I understand, but I still have to do it my way, in a way that feels good to me. And trust me, Dustin, he would say to me, trust me, if we do this in a way that I know works with my inspiration, it's going to be better for everybody. And of course, he will still accommodate, though. Pisces, the Piscean energy, finds naturally a situation which will give the space to cater to your needs, but also will cater to the needs of the situation. And that will likely work because it'll work out probably. Unless there's problems with Jupiter, Mars here will accommodate to the situation, and then the situation will accommodate to the creative nature and preferences of the Mars in Pisces, which means that you ought to look for a situation that does cater to the way that you apply yourself. And if you find it, it'll cater to you. So that's a very positive thing. Again, you know, the placement of your Jupiter is important here, because if Jupiter is well placed, if it's closer to its exaltation in Cancer, then Mars in Pisces will have the sense it'll be important to you to apply yourself to situations which work well and which cater to your inspirational spirit. Now, if your Jupiter's in Capricorn, then you will apply yourself with an open spirit, willing to compromise and cater to the situation in a world that's like materialistic and kind of putting you under, pushing you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you'll still do it, and you'll get some enjoyment out of it because people love to work with you because you are sensitive in this way. You want to apply yourself with a empathy for the situation around you. And what happens is that because you are like that, you find a situation that tends to also be sympathetic to you. So these are the reasons why Mars in Pisces tends to be good. Ultimately, you are somebody who is idealistic, empathetic, and agreeable. And you apply yourself with an underlying sense of kindness, which people love and people prefer. And that's what you prefer. You won't make too much of a big stink about things. You can be taken advantage of, because you have this sensitivity in how you apply yourself. But you have the sense to just let go. You have the sense to say, you know what? I've been compromising, and everyone is taking that for granted. So then you can just kind of just say, hey guys, so I've been applying myself this way. I need to feel like that's coming back to me. So does everybody, I've just been feeling like this needs to be taken care of in order for me to be at my best and most preferential level of comfort. So what do you guys all feel about that? You'll talk about it, and if everyone's just going to be a dick to you and say, why are you even asking? This is work. This is business. We don't talk about our preferences here. Why don't you save that for your creative projects at home? You could just say, oh, is that how it is? Sorry, I thought that this would be something that works well with me. I guess it doesn't, so I'm going to go find something that does. And they'll go, oh, okay, hold on, we really need you. And then, you know what I mean? So you can assert yourself and just say, look, man, if this isn't working the way I want it to, and would feel good about, we all want to feel good here, so there's a sensitivity to others' needs, but there's also a sensitivity to your own needs and preferences at an emotional feeling application level. It's in the work. The details of the work needs to feel good for Mars, and they'll make sure that it does. And this is what gives this Mars strength, especially if you have a good Jupiter, and if there are positive aspects to this Mars. If you've got Saturn squashing this Mars, if Saturn is in Pisces with this Mars, then you'll get mute, and you'll still accommodate, and you won't cause much of a fuss, but Saturn will cause you to be mute and cause you to be taken advantage of. But when this Mars is at its best and has no obstructions, it's going to use this energy well. This is also to say that your self-assertion and your decisiveness can be encumbered by a little bit of personal and emotional vulnerability. There's a vulnerability there, especially when you're young, which you will eventually there's a little bit of a school of hard knocks happening because you're so accepting and so just everything's going to be fine, no one's out to hurt me. And then like you have a few experiences when you're young that's just like, hey, we all love you, but like pay attention, don't just walk out into the traffic expecting that they're not going to hit you. Don't go to a sexually alluring person who's super sexual and has all these cool things and money and drugs and weed, and they're just like wink wink wink, all the fun things, and you come and you realize that this is way more dangerous than the sensual impulses in your brain might have made you think at first. But these are the kind of troubles that Mars and Pisces can find themselves getting into, and you'll probably find out through life where you really stand, where that thing is, whether that thing really is good for your preferences, because you're looking to apply yourself to what feels good, Pisces. And you'll be discerning about what does feel good, because it's Mars that we're talking about here. And eventually Mars will get a logical, rational, sensible sense of what feels good for you and also what feels good for other people. There's a psychological aesthetic awareness that develops in this person, because you find out through your own school of hard knocks what feels good for everybody, but what only specifically feels good to you. What's painful to everybody, but what for some reason is not that painful for you. These are the things you feel, and then you eventually become able to manage your preferences and the preferences of others around you into an aesthetic, groovy, creative, functional whole. So you use these emotional wavelengths and torrents to channel what you want to get in your life. Because Mars, of course, in the Vedic sense, Mars is the general, the right arm for this king, which is the sun, which is whatever you want to do in your life. Your sun sign is going to work well with this Mars or not, but generally, whether your sun's in Aquarius, if your sun's in Capricorn, if your sun is in Taurus, all these sun placements, which might have a bit more of a harder time dealing with the emotional looseness of the Mars and Pisces or whatever. No matter what, Mars and Pisces gives you a good application for how to deal with humans and how to manifest whatever your sun sign wants. It's a good thing. And I wouldn't let the Western idea of the wooey gooiness of Pisces, make you think that you're not capable of nobly standing up for what's good for you and for what's good for the other people in the group. You do apply it with an emotional attunement and a sensitivity. But if you're a Leo sun, this Mars and Pisces is not going to be, flitty and, ooh, do you mind if I do this? Nah, it's Leo sun is the ego there. And it's applying Pisces to its fiery will. And it's going to say, hey, everybody, so look, we've got an agenda here. We all know what we feel good in doing, but, we got to get this ball rolling here, folks. So, Jimmy, I know you prefer to, you don't prefer to work on the, this job, but today we got to rock and roll, buddy, because no one else is going to do it for you. But if you do it, don't worry. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to remember that you did it, and I'm going to set you up with an easier job next time. This is Leo delegating through the enjoyable, approachable friendliness of Mars and Pisces. It's not a pushover, and don't let yourself think that you are. Because the Western books consider that Neptune rules Pisces and that Pisces is mute. This is in the Vedic conception of things. Pisces, especially as a sign, is just another sign energy. It's ruled by Jupiter, and it's got more juice than most people give it credit for. Now, this has been my personal reading of this sign energy. Before we go today, I want to do a little reading from Erotic Astrology. As you come through my little series talking about Mars and Pisces in combination with the 12 sun signs combinations, you are going to be hearing me reading from Erotic Astrology. Essentially because my own spiel is very astronomical. I try to teach the Vedic sense of these things. This book gives us, like, you know, now we know the technicalities. Now, how does it come off erotically? I'm a Scorpio myself, and I find that the erotic is a very much a, like, when you read, it's so personable. It's such the erotic is ruled by Mars, and that's kind of why I like, you know, like, well, we can talk all about Mars, but I like to show, like, how does it express, how does it present in the real life lived moment. And that's why we're reading from this. This is Mars in the sign of Pisces and how it expresses itself in the erotic sense. Again, this is a Western author, and it's going to have its blendings there. I'm going to try to add my own 2 cents, but it's still good stuff. It is a good intuition of it. In Pisces, Mars produces strong, intense, and unpredictable emotions and reactions and ambitions and desires, especially because it goes with the flowing inspiration of the waterways of Pisces. In fact, another book that I've recently read, basically, I kind of also read from Stephen Arroyo's Chart Interpretation Handbook. And what it says here is that Mars in Pisces pursues its desires and its erotic connections and its inspiration for all things creative. It does so subtly, being motivated chiefly by inspiration, intuition, or a guiding vision. Even your physical energy and sexual drive are always affected by dreams, moods, and emotions. So this goes to say that the Piscean Mars produces ambition and drive that kind of comes in emotional human rhythm waves, which can be intense because it's a wave. Because it's not constant, it has this whew, whew. But that's part of the power of Mars being in a water sign. It kind of works better in that kind of rhythm. Mars likes to rest and then to have a peak, and then to rest and to have a peak. That's why it's not as functional in an earth or an air sign per se, except for Capricorn. But I digress, because Capricorn is its exaltation. Exaltation is this funny, mystical, different thing from a planet. You know, planet being in any other sign is a different thing from being in its exaltation sign. So, this is more of a Western thing, I would say, again, but what our book says is that having your assertiveness being drowned in sympathy, those with Mars and Pisces are more receptive and sensitive than proactive. I would go to say that you're receptive to your own inspiration to be proactive, which is there. Your proactivity is there. Everyone's got Mars in them, and you are sensitive. You listen to where it goes. Much of your attitude towards life stems from your keen sensitivity to the feelings of others. You clearly know what other people are feeling. It's your sense for their preferences, right? And you're always ready to render assistance to those most in need of help. As a result, you're apt to express the energies of Mars in support of the defenseless or underprivileged. Being passive by nature, you go with the flow, typically letting life happen without trying to control its direction. And this even involves, like, you know, whatever you find yourself going into in life, you're very open to the fact that things move around, even though you have a willpower that's strongly trying to get them moving. You know, you actually apply your willpower in not such a fixed way. The mutability of Pisces causes you to look for the right moment and opportunity in every moment, in every opportunity. And that's especially regarding your own internal feelings. You know, there's lots of Marses that just act whether you feel good or not. And that's a good thing. This Mars can do that because, again, it accommodates for the moment. But ultimately, where it comes to driving yourself nobly to your deepest motivations, you're not going to let the moment obstruct your inner inspiration. You go by what inspires you to move. And it's not perfect for every planet, but it is ideal for Mars. Mars is a warrior, and it's our own capacity to apply our will in the world is strengthened when it comes from our inspiration, from our will, from what we are at our best. And that's why Mars is good here in that sense. You don't necessarily try to control the direction of your inspiration and the opportunities that come to you. You can be romantic and sentimental, but your needs are emotional more than physical. And what turns you on is the prospect of a best friend who can ground that emotional sense of good enjoyment and fulfillment, and who you can work with enjoyably, communicate with enjoyably. It's good things to have for Mars. It makes you very capable of, more capable of properly having a good creative partnership, in partnership. In many ways, your view of love is a fantasy with high expectations that is rarely achieved in real life if you let that be the case. Although this Mars in Pisces will eventually put in the effort to make their dream a reality. Being mild-tempered and gentle, you generally move through life in a manner that can hardly be considered direct. Your ideal romantic partner is sensitive to the fact of this indirection and the fact that you constantly apply little bits of grace and deliciousness in every little moment. And your ideal romantic partner is imaginative, like you. Mystery intrigues you and turns you on. And the idea of a love affair, a secret love affair, can excite and entice you. It's the idea that you're turned on by the mysticism of attraction. What is it that makes me attracted to this or that thing? And a lover who can enrapture you or can give you a vessel to enjoy the intrigue, the mystery of your lovingness or of their lovingness, or can keep you guessing, can give you constant, doesn't just say their feelings. Well, they do say their feelings and they constantly let it out, but it's this mystery. The way that they say things can turn you on. Highly emotional types attract you, and you find sharing feelings to be seductive. Broken-hearted lovers, starving artists, and penniless poets tend to tug on your heartstrings. It's the Mars feeling the feelings of the mysticism, of the minimalism of Pisces, thinking that there's more to life than the physical reality, more to life than trying hard and being direct and communicating in the immediacy of things. It's the whole package around it all, the deeper meaning behind the gesture. When there is a deeper meaning, when there is a symbol, when there's two things, when there's a surface, but then a subtle intrigue going on behind it. Like when you have a lover who can say one thing, something simple as talking about banana cream pie or something like that. Someone's getting like a banana cream pie from the store and they just decide to tell you for whatever reason, darling, I've decided to go and get a pie today. I think it's going to be a banana cream pie or something like that, and you just, you feeling that there's more being said there than what's on the surface is a turn on. These are the kind of things that can turn on the Mars in Pisces. Having indirection, in the subtle torrents of deliciousness going on behind the surface of things. It's this intrigue that can keep Mars and Pisces enticed and guessing and wanting to continue that vibe, you know? It's a juicy energy, can make for seductive ploys, can make for an emotionally seductive lover. Seduction, the art of the gesture, can be something that's very intriguing for Mars and Pisces, and it's something that you probably can and do and should apply to those who might be your lover. This is why you might do well with somebody who has a water ascendant or who has a fire ascendant. Especially someone who has Mars, who has Jupiter or the Sun in a water sign, especially, because then their Jupiter will be in trine to your Mars in Pisces. This means that they will find a Jupiterian enjoyment. They'll just, you can tell that they can sense your subtle indirection there. If they have water planets where they can feel, ooh, banana cream pie, huh? What's really going on there, you know? I mean, like, an earth person might be like, oh, I get what you mean there. That's cute. You know, but like a water and a fire person will know to keep it going with you. These subtle things. And you guys can live in a subtle backdrop of juicy, seductive symbolism that you constantly apply to each other. And that's something that would be good for you. Can lead to some very steamy, imaginative, behind the consciousness lovemaking. And that's there for you. Ideally, if you're with the right lover, they will appreciate that, they'll feel that, and they will digest the unconscious enjoyment that you're applying for yourself and to them. They'll see it and they'll appreciate it. Not everybody will appreciate that. You might meet a lot of people where you're doing this thing and you're just rubbing your body into them and you can feel your tongue going click, 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 and the right and the left in the back of your head. And you can just sit there and just squeeze and kiss and be in this complete rapture. And they might just be like, what are you doing? You know, like they'll just starfish and just be like, are you gonna fuck me now? You know, that's more of like, you know, that might be a more earth or air person who doesn't care for the subtle intrigue you've got going on. And maybe you'll find that funny or ironic or whatever. You know, maybe the person you're dealing with has the sun in Virgo, but even Virgo has Pisces for its 7th house. So Virgo can actually feel those things that you're doing. So it all depends, you know. I mean, that's just how 7th house placements can work. But ideally, you are that type of person, and you should find somebody who appreciates you for it. Ultimately, that all depends, really. This is just Mars. And this is how you're going to apply yourself in sexuality, as well as how you get the things you want in life. You know, your boss. If you know what your boss likes, everyone else tries to please the hell out of the boss, and you're the one person who comes in and says, hey, boss, you know, I know you like this certain type of chocolate. I'm just going to leave that right on your desk there. You can just, you know, that's from me. And, you know, the boss will be like, oh, cool. You know, this is how you apply yourself constantly with your Mars energy. But you could just be doing that just to manipulate the people around you in order to get them to enjoy this thing that you do. Ultimately, it comes down to your moon and your moon and your Venus, which will decide whether you really ultimately put value into the partner that you have. And if you have a good moon and a good Venus, and if you value relationships, then you will apply this delicious Mars and Pisces thing in a way which will be mutually satisfying to you and to your lover. Or, if that's not that important to you, then you will just know how to shoot your Mars and Pisces like a laser beam to get what your Mars prefers to manifest itself through. And that's whatever. You know, Venus and the moon and relationships don't have to be that important to everybody. This is me just going to say that, you know, I think most people come to these, you can read about Mars and Pisces and you'll see Mars is Mars and Pisces is super sensitive. So this means that you are super sensitive This means that you'll be a good imaginative lover who is sensitive to the other person. And that, like, again, that's true, but it's only in how you apply your Mars. You can just use that just to manipulate people, which, if it gets you around, it's whatever. I don't know. I ain't judging. I'm just saying that this is only Mars that we're talking about. Don't get it twisted. You know, whenever you watch an astrology video like this, you know, try to just recognize the symbols that you're talking about. Don't take Mars and Pisces wholesale like some other videos might be telling you to do. Anyway, I digress. This is me trying to be more discerning about the symbols we use in astrology. And that's how I roll, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm Dustin Cormier, and this is How to Rock Astrology. I'm always trying to get different ways of thinking about these things, but ultimately it's the same old truth. I'm hoping that my little bit of Vedic wisdom on how to interpret Pisces in general, but Mars and Pisces in particular today, has been helpful to you. Keep your eyes open, folks, because I always got more stuff coming out. And if you do dig my style, feel free to like and subscribe, because I'll be doing my series talking about Mars and Pisces, plus your sun sign, probably a matter of a few weeks. So keep your eyes peeled. I'm Dustin Cormier, and thanks for watching, folks. I'll see you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed.